Hi, I'm Deniece Williams, and you're watching True Exclusive at Home. Silly of me to go around and brag about the love I found. Well, I'll say that you're the best. Well, I can't tell the rest. And foolish of me to tell them all that every night and day you call when you could care less. You're just another round to score. And I know that I should be looking for more. What could it be in you I see? What could it be? Oh, 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 love, oh, love, stop making a out of me. I actually started singing at the age of 3. My aunt said she heard me singing on the porch one day. Now we will now have a song by Deniece, and I sang this little song. It was called "There's a Man Waiting Way Beyond the Clouds." There's a man waiting way beyond those clouds. He's waiting there for you and for me. And so she asked me, would you sing that song in church on Sunday? And I said, yeah. So I sang it on Sunday and ended up in the children's choir. And that started at the age of when I was 3 years old. So I've been singing forever. I grew up in Gary, Indiana at an incredible time. It was wonderful. I loved school, loved being around my friends. When we were in high school, I used to walk like a mile and a half to school. And sometimes if we had 15 cents, my best friend and I would jump on the bus and ride the bus home. It was really wonderful. Gary, Indiana was a wonderful place to grow up with friends. I grew up in a very religious background. I spent a lot of weekends with my grandmother, so I was always in church all day Sunday in church. Wednesday, I was at choir rehearsal. Thursday, I was at choir rehearsals for the Indiana State Choir. So, and then I played in the in band in school, in middle school and high school. I was in the band, so I had a really lovely upbringing in Indiana during that time. It was fun. I had a great childhood. I had a cousin John. He and I are the same age, and John's grandmother and my grandmother were sisters, and so he would come to Gary every summer and spend a week with his grandmother. So he started telling us, and he's from Detroit. So he started telling us, I know Stevie, we hanging out and, Stevie Wonder this and Stevie Wonder that. And I told John one day, I said, John, you need to stop lying, Pinocchio. Your nose gonna start growing. And he said, no, I know Stevie. And I said, mm-hmm. But I tell you, after him telling me that 7 years, John Harris was the one that my cousin was the one that got me the audition with Stevie. And I auditioned with Stevie there were about 26 of us, and I was one of 3 that got chosen to go on the road to be a background singer with him. It was my cousin John that got me that audition with Steve. I didn't even want to do it, but he got me audition. And so to be able to finally work with somebody that I admired and loved the music and respected all those years, and finally here I am on the road with him as a background singer, was something that I could have never conceived would have happened, to me. And it was incredible touring with him. I used to write a lot of poetry in school, but when I got with Stevie, I realized that poetry plus music equals song. And so he was the one that I got me into songwriting and influenced how I wrote and put things together. It was an incredible time with him. He was an incredible mentor, somebody, just incredible to sit up under for 3.5 years and learn as much as I did. After I left Stevie, I started working with Roberta Flack, and I absolutely loved Roberta. She was very different from Stevie, and how he operated and she operated was very different, but she was wonderful. And she also would ask me every day, Deniece, what are you going to do? And I would say, I don't know, but it's going to be good. And so it was great going out there and singing, with Stevie. I loved Earth, Wind, and Fire. Used to listen to Keep Your Head to the Sky and all of their music. And so to be able to end up on Maurice White's production label with Earth, Wind, and Fire was just incredible as well. I grew up listening to Johnny Mathis, and there I was singing, singing with him. I started singing with Johnny when he was on TV. I'm about 10 years old. And I told John, I said, I've been in dress rehearsal for singing with you for years, years. I've been practicing and singing with you. And I mean, just the people that I got to work with, Philip Bailey, it's been incredible, to sing on Minnie Riperton's project. I remember when I was 16 years old, one of my neighbors ran up to my house and she had an album. She said, you should listen to this. You sound like this girl. You and this girl sound alike. And it was a Rotary connection and the lead singer was Minnie Riperton. So then I'd, been at home singing along with Minnie, and then to be able to work on her Perfect Angel project as a background singer. So a lot of the people that I grew up listening to, I had an opportunity to meet or either work with. My very first song was called Love is Tears. And my math teacher had heard me singing in his record store. I was working in my math teacher's record store. He heard me singing along with records, Aretha Franklin and the Supremes and Gladys. And he said, I didn't know you sing. And I said, that's because you don't go to church. And so he asked me to sing. He talked to my mom about signing me to a local record label, which he did. And then he brought over Barbara Acklin, who had written Love Makes a Woman, and Jean from the Shy-Lights. And they wrote this song, Love is Tears, and I recorded it. I come from a very strict Pentecostal background, the Church of God in Christ. And anybody that sang the devil's music was on the weenie roast going to hell. So the church just got so upset with me for doing this local record. And so they said, you can no longer sing in the choirs, so they stripped me of my choir membership, and, you can no longer be, until you quit doing this, you can no longer be a member of the church. And it hurt because I was born and raised in the church. I've been in the church at that time for like 17 years. That's all I knew, being in the choir, going to church on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And so it really, really hurt very deeply. There was one of the church mothers said that there was nothing wrong with my song. He said, she's just singing about love. She's not singing about lust or, doing anything. She's just singing about love. So she said that she felt I was fine, but my church didn't. And I was stripped of membership and, participating in choirs. And it hurt very, very deeply. But what I learned afterwards is they really preached condemnation. And eventually I learned about the love and the forgiveness of God. And that was a most miraculous time in my life when I found out about the love and the forgiveness of God. And I think that my home church did that. I later realized that they did that because they thought they were protecting me, especially when I went out to be with Stevie. They didn't know if I was going to make it, if I was going to end up on the streets, if I was going to end up doing something else. And, I think a lot of that was their fear. And actually a lot of that was their ignorance of the word of God, because God's word is love. It's also rules and regulations, but it's love. And they focus more on the thou shalt nots than the thou can, and I forgive you and love you. And I've given you this gift and talent to you. So it was difficult, but we're okay now. The story behind Silly, well, I was feeling silly. And I was in a relationship when this guy broke my heart. And so I'm like at 3:00 in the morning, I'm snotting and crying over this guy. And this little thing, silly of me, so it kept popping in my head. So I called my co-writer and I said, Fritz, turn on the machine, the recorder. I want to put this idea down before I forget it. It probably will never, end up on a project, because it's coming out like 6/8 time, 3/4 is coming out as a waltz. I said, but I want to write it, put it down. So she put the idea down. We went back and we wrote it, but it was born out of the fact that, I love this guy and he was just not, he wasn't acting right. So I wrote, so I wrote the song. Performing with Monica on the BET Awards was just incredible. When somebody else covers a song, the administrators, they'll send it to me and they'll say, this is a song, that's one of your songs that somebody recorded. So when I heard her song, I just instantly fell in love with it, and the fact that Missy Elliott had produced it. I thought, oh my God, Monica and Missy Elliott, I'm big time now. I'm moving on up, okay? So I loved the song. I knew the song. And basically on the BET Awards, they wanted Monica to do her version, but then they brought me out to do the original version of Silly. And it was fabulous. It was just incredible to be able to do that with her. I did want to do an up-tempo song because I've been known as a great balladeer, but the producer that didn't want to do it was George Duke. And so George Duke and I were in the studio doing Black Butterfly. We'd finished Black Butterfly, and we got a call saying, Columbia is going to be doing the soundtrack to this film, and there's one song left. Want to know if Deniece Williams wants to do it. So George Duke and I went over to the songwriters, and they were on the piano playing the song. They gave us the cassette. And George said, when we left, George says, we ain't doing that song. I said, George, come on, man, we got to do this song. I said, it's going to be in a movie. It's an up-tempo song. I said, people say I do great ballads, but I could do an up-tempo song. We're not doing that song. So I tell people in my show that, that the man is the head, but the woman is the neck. And she can turn that neck any way she wants to when she put her mind to it. So I stopped talking to George and I went to the neck. I went to his wife, Corinne. And I said, Corinne, George won't do this song with me. I said, and it's going to be a hit. I can feel it. I want to do this song. She said, girl, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. A week later, me and George Duke was in the studio doing Let's Hear It for the Boy. And then I did a television show called Unsung. And on my Unsung, George got on there and said, I still don't like that song. I said, well, you don't like it? I'll tell you what, 15 million sales, send me your producer's check. I take it. I got something. I got plenty I could do with that money. Okay. Baby needs shoes. That's right. It is amazing for me to have this new single out, When You Love Somebody, and to see all of the love that people are giving towards the song. It's been the #2 most added on radio. And certainly after 10 years, that's a long time, but yet here I am again. And I have to say, it was a God thing because I was in LA with my son, Kevin. We were in LA taking meetings, and he had one meeting that he had to go to. And he wanted to go and visit a friend of his that's a producer, Emil Gatos. And he was going to talk to him about another friend who wanted to get some producing done. So I came to the studio and I said, hi, we got introduced. And I sat over in the corner while he and my son Kevin took this meeting. And then after the meeting, Emil came to me and said, Miss Williams, I love your music, love your voice. He said, I've got some tracks I've always wanted to write with you. Can I play you a couple of tracks? And if you hear something, just let me know. So he played me the first track, nothing. He played me the second track. And all of a sudden I said, when you love somebody, life is like a party, and you dance, and you dance, and you dance. And he said, oh, I like that. So he put it down. He asked me for some lyrics, and he sent me some lyrics. And about a week later, he had done this demo on the song. And he said, Miss Williams, will you come in to LA, or the next time you come in and, and put the song down? And I said, yeah, why not? So I came back about 2 weeks later, and I sang the song, and then, kind of pushed it to the side, forgot about it. About a month later, I was around some friends and their kids and the kids. And so I said, well, do you like the song? I put the song and the kids start dancing and singing. And after the song got off, they were singing I said, oh, so I called Emil. I said, everybody I played the song for really like it. What should I do? And the rest is history. He said, I know radio guy and I know this person. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, let's try it. Let's put it out, see what happens. And here we are. I've been working on a new project, and it's mostly jazz. So now with this new song, I've got, and then I just recorded a gospel song. So it's going to be called Gemini, because it's going to have jazz, R&B, pop, gospel on the record. So you'll get a full view of who I am. I know friends that are no longer here. So I'm still here. I'm still healthy. I have a home. I have a bed to sleep in. I have food to eat. You know, I have a car. You know, when I think about all of the things that I've been blessed with, that's when the depression has to leave me. It has to leave, because there's somebody that's so much more worse off than I am. There's somebody that's much more worse off than you are. So when you tend to get into that whole thing of fighting depression, count your blessings. Thank God and say, you know what? I there's a saying, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. So it says, I will rejoice. That means that I have to make a decision. I have to make a decision whether or not I'm going to look at my blessings, or the decisions that I'm going to look at what I feel is not going right in my life. And is everything going right in my life? It is not. Everything is not going right. But because I trust God, I know that everything that's going on in my life is allowed. He's allowing it. And I also know that if I get my attitude right and I get my words right, it can change. Black butterfly, sail across the waters. Tell your sons and daughters what the struggle brings. Black butterfly, set the stars, set them on fire. Rise up even higher, so the ages wheels of time can catch your wings and fly. Butterfly, yeah, yes, fly.